well, so the guards got off first, and I have a picture of his gun. He just, come on, it's okay. Like those primates would not hurt us in any way, but they were with us all the time and walking with us. And
the guards.
And so there were maybe 2 guides, people that would help us. It was like for people that didn't bring their poles, and they were helpful. And so the women who did their yoga, or men that were very flexible, they'd be right at the rim of the canyon and go down. Like I said, I cannot put my butt down very easily. I just don't want to tip over, But it was beautiful. And I said, I'm going to do this. And I did. And then we got on a bus and we went to Gond.
What do you mean you did what? You put your
I wanted to say I hiked and I did not fall down.
Oh.
And I hiked at 13,000 feet. I experienced this. It was a challenging trip. There were moments that took my breath away. The moments that took my breath away were moments where we were invited into someone's home, and they showed us how to cook the Ethiopian bread, and we met their children and how they take the bread and
you put stuff in the
bread. But when and the woman is making all this food, but the deal is when it's all done, the husband feeds the wife first. Which is awfully sweet.
I would say so. My God.
So you might not. You go to an Ethiopian restaurant and you get the food, but you don't necessarily get the whole experience and how they make the bread and how they work with the vegetables. And we also had the only people who ever wanted Ethiopia. This is a terrible way to say it, but I think Italy at one point tried to colonize Ethiopia, probably because they like coffee. I don't know why. I don't know the history exactly, but it didn't work out. Ethiopia is its own country. It was never really colonized, and that's very interesting because they've got their own language. People seem to get along with one another, except there's this expansion where they want to have the coast city again.
By the way, there is an Ethiopia restaurant here on, 76th, 77th Street. I think it's on 77th between Amsterdam and Columbus, on the uptown side of the street.
Well, when we were in Addis Ababa, I saw the Ethiopian National Theater.
Oh, you did?
And the door was open, and I said, well, I want to go in there. And I saw pictures of 4 men in kind of purple, cool, light purple, kind of lavender suits, and it was like, ain't too proud. I mean, they were doing contemporary stuff. And there is a theater, and that theater was built by Haile Selassie. He wanted Ethiopia to be with it. And a lot of people, he really emphasized education, and it still emphasized education, and our guide was really wonderful. There wasn't any question that he would not answer. So when we went to Lalibela, where the rock-hewn churches are. From there, we went to the Simien Mountains. We went to Gondor, where there are medieval castles. And sometimes, Catherine, I just had to wrap my brain around when they'd say, this was in 14 whatever, 15 whatever, and then I go, okay, that's when Martin Luther, because I'm a Lutheran and I kind of know my European history, but and I know history because of Shakespeare. I went, okay, this was happening during Shakespeare's time, and this was happening during the Reformation in Germany.
Just
to know, and this is it's got so much history, and it's so important, and the people who cared enough to go were people. There was a gentleman from Australia, and he said, like, my country's got no history at all, not compared to this. I mean, none. It was really, people appreciated it. Then we got on a bus and went from Gondor to the shore of Lake Tana, which is their biggest lake, and it's the source of the Blue Nile. And we were on a bus for about 4 hours through the agricultural. It would be like going through the Midwest. And in Ethiopia, there are 3 growing seasons, because there can be. And everybody at the side of the road, everybody was doing something. Everybody had a job. There was a truck in front of us with cotton, and little balls of cotton would kind of get stuck on the trees. And the next thing you'd see would be people from the village picking the cotton off the trees because you could make clothes out of that.
Oh, wow. It's amazing.
Or sometimes we saw something straight out, it looked like that, straight out of the ground, and it was a neck of a former volcano. Like the volcano comes up, spews, everything else gets, melts away kind of, and you see these kind of necks, and that's where there was volcanic action hundreds of years ago.
Really?
So that was a sort of a dusty ride. So we stopped along the side of the road, and our guide was the father of 4 little boys, and the children would come up to us, and he said, if you, sometimes they just say money because they hear somebody else do it, but he was teaching them, and he was a teacher, and it was very dear and wonderful. And
what did he teach them? Money?
well, no, what he was saying, like, if you have something to sell, we'll find a time for that, but you're not going to interrupt everything else. So he was just saying, this is how to be polite to someone who is visiting, and that was cool. We saw they grind. There was a ox. I mean, we're talking agricultural methods that are very old. Mm-hmm. And
he went around the circle.
Yeah, the stone.
And you'd say to yourself, that poor guy, he's going to go out of his mind. He keeps going.
The cow.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It was very, very interesting. We got to Lake Tana, and it was a lovely sort of resort feeling on the lake.
You can swim there?
There was a swimming pool, so you could swim there. Yes.
Oh, you mean on the lake you can?
Right. Well, when I say this is Lake Superior. It's really, really big.
Yeah.
So we found out we could have gotten on a boat near Gondor and had a really slow boat to China all the way to the town that we were going to, but we took the bus instead. Mm-hmm. And in this large lake, Lake Tana, there are islands with churches.
No kidding.
Yes, they're very, very, very old. So we saw kingfisher. We saw people fishing in a boat made of papyrus. You just take a lot of sticks and put it all together, and they were like putting a net out and fishing. And we went to the one of the more known monasteries, which is in the middle of the lake.
And in the middle of the lake?
In the middle of the lake.
How wonderful.
And
God.
On a little island, and it's in the round, and all the Bible stories from the Old Testament that you know and I know, and some from the New Testament as well, they're all illustrated on the walls inside this
monastery?
Church.
Oh, church.
So, and at the top of the church, there's a cross, but also like 8, looks like eggs, like ostrich eggs. And they said there was a reason why it was an ostrich egg. We go into the church, we take our shoes off, we put the funny socks on, we cover our head, and then there are drawings all around the church, all around this church, that were the most beautiful. All of the inside of these rock-hewn churches are a lot of beautiful drawings, and they always have people with really big eyes, and they kind of like it's beautiful. But then there were these other pictures, and it's like if you go to the Met and you see a Raphael and you go, well, that's Jesus in the temple talking to the Pharisee, or that's that's another picture of the Virgin Mary with the baby, got it, or whatever. Oh, that's Adam and Eve. I know that's Adam and Eve, and that's Cain and Abel. I got it, and that's Lot's wife, and that's Lot's wife, and that's Sodom. Oh, well, that must be Sodom and Gomorrah. You get it by what's happening. Mm. So I see this little child sliding down a slide, and I said, "Who's that?" And they said, "That's Jesus playing on a slide." I said, "What book of the Bible is that?" And they said, "Well, the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible has 88 books."
Oh my God.
There was something that happened. Now the Jewish Bible they have the Book of Enoch, evidently. But there's certain, I didn't know that there were extra books. And then there was this other picture, and it was Mary punishing Jesus. I don't know what he did, turn a rock into a dove. I don't know what he did. He wasn't supposed to be doing that. But those were like you hear about Jesus being a baby, and then you hear about Jesus in the temple when he's 12, and then the next thing you know, he's crucified. Well, there were some things that happened in between. So I never knew that. I never knew there were these other books of the Bible. But then there was one, like, it was definitely Jacob's Ladder. I felt like I was winning at Jeopardy. Jacob's Ladder, But it was. I thought about my mother and father, and they would have, when my father and mother had never been to a big art museum, and I was doing Titanic in Chicago at the Lyric Opera House, and they went to the Chicago Art Institute. My mother spent the whole day looking at old Italian paintings and going, I know what that is, and that is. She knew the stories. Mm-hmm. She knew the stories of these huge paintings. And the same thing, they were primitive, but I knew the stories. And because people couldn't read, that's how it was very much like a medieval church. Beautiful. And I'm glad I went. There were just moments that were
I hope you
special.
took pictures of some of these, the interiors of the church.
Oh, I absolutely did.
Because I want them.
In fact, there was a picture, and there was like, this is in the church, and musicians. There's always like pictures of drummers and there's lots of music, and this handmade instruments and fabulous. And there was my friend John Delphin. I mean, I have a friend who is my accompanist, and sometimes when he's at the piano and I do something wrong, he'll just look at me like, and I swore, and I walked past it, and then I went, that's John. How did he get here? So when I got back, I said, John, I was in Ethiopia, and there you were. And he said, yeah, I posed for that. It was.
It's amazing, when I was in Italy, and I went to the Uffizi Museum. By the way, the sound that you hear is, of course, my dog snoring, so don't think it's our stomach. It's just she's making a noise. But anyway, I went to the Uffizi, and I went, oh, all of these paintings of the people are exactly who I saw on the street. In other words, they looked exactly like the Italians I'd seen on the street. And I went, that's it.
They're a beautiful people. And then we spent 18 days altogether in Ethiopia. The coffee ceremony is interesting because they show you the beans, then they roast the beans in front of you, then they grind the beans with a pestle and mortar, and then they serve it in a little. And coffee is not like, let's just have a cup of coffee. It's a whole ceremony. And there's sort of incense.
It's very strong.
It's very, very strong.
Yes.
But is it worth it? Was Ethiopia worth the trip? Yes. There is just a lot of history, and I'm still thinking about the things that I saw and the people that I met, and they're very proud of their country. They have a lot of history. There was somebody from Hong Kong that I met, and they went to the area where we were supposed to go to. It was kind of a scary area. They were fine. The two of them probably traveled with their own guards and whatever, but they were fine. And then they went to lower southern Ethiopia, and there's something called the Rift Valley. But there's this area where the tectonic plates of the continent are shifting, and literally the ground is bubbling up different colors.
Oh my God.
So I went to one place where we went to several very interesting places, and there was I bought a scarf, and this woman said, those are the same colors of the land in the Rift Valley. And I didn't know what they meant because I didn't go to that section, but there are many, many things to see. There's a saying, like, God won't let you fall. God will never fail you. And I saw people
that.
God will never fail you. And every rock-hewn church has this priest with a sort of there's a name for it, and then there's a thing on top. It's a special sort of cross for that particular church. And if you're going to have a blessing, I'll take one. I think I was the only one who asked for one, but our guide was Ethiopian Orthodox, so he asked for a blessing, and the priest gave him one, and I said, I'd like a blessing. I mean, what's the harm?
Yeah.
I think we could use it. And I think about that. God will never fail. I mean, sometimes all you can do these days is pray.
That's right. Oh,
That's all you can do. But then we left Ethiopia and we landed in Zanzibar. We went to Stone Town, and next to Stone Town is again UNESCO site. They want to keep it the way it is. And then what I didn't know about African slave trade, that probably was the part that took my breath away. I didn't know. I didn't know that the Portuguese sold slaves for 300 years
oh
out
God.
of Zanzibar,
Oh God.
and that people would, if I didn't like your family, there'd be no more wolves. I'd sell your family to somebody else, and then off you'd go. And they'd take them to Zanzibar, because you can't. It's kind of like Alcatraz. You can't swim back to San Francisco from there, so it's a good prison.
Oh, it's horrible.
So
horrible.
So there are
horrible.
all kinds of people. There are 100 and in Zanzibar there are representatives of 122 tribes, and there are 11 political parties, and the police do not have, well, they might carry guns, but when they go home they cannot take a gun home. Nobody has a gun at home.
Oh boy.
And the slave trade was from Ethiopia to Arabia and to India, and went on, and it was Dr. Stanley Livingston, like Dr. Livingston, I presume, he spoke to the people in Parliament in England and told them what was going on. They said, this can't go on. So they said, no more slave. We can't buy and sell, no more slavery. We're not condoning this anymore. So when he discovered the source of the Nile at Victoria Falls, he told his guides, I want my heart to be buried in Africa, because it's important to him. So he died under this tree, and they took his heart and insides, and they took that to Zanzibar. So he's in the cathedral in Zanzibar. They built a cathedral on top of what was the place that they sold slaves.
Oh my God.
So his heart is there, and they took the rest of his body back to England. In order to take it back to England, so it was on the east coast of Africa, and it had to go all the way around South Africa and all the way back up. All the body parts are now at Westminster Cathedral, and that is Dr. Stanley Livingston. I presume that's him.
Wow.
So it opened up, and I want to know more. And then I went to Freddie Mercury's house. Yes, I did, and he was raised in Zanzibar,
No kidding.
and he was Zoroastrian. Got any friends Zoroastrian? There are just not as many Zoroastrians anymore. Not even in Zanzibar. I think there are 2. But anyway, wherever he went to church, like in Zanzibar, we saw there's a Muslim church, and it was Ramadan, so they were mostly Muslim. There was Muslim, there was Hindu, there was Anglican, all kinds of people. Mm-hmm. And there were also Swahili. There were people from Tanzania and Ghana, and they were Maasai. And I bought this bracelet from a Maasai gentleman, super, super tall.
Yes, exactly.
And I don't know why, but they had what kind of looked like a tartan tablecloth. It was like plaid, but tartan. And they were wrapped, very good looking Maasai people. Mm-hmm. And they would be doing things like they'd be the guard at the resort. No guns at all in Zanzibar.
But they're 9 feet tall, and they're standing. The picture of the Maasai, which I thought was so beautiful, they're doing the exercise I can't do in yoga, where they're standing up and the one leg is like this, and
like the tree.
Anyway,
yeah, it was and there was a resort that we stayed at on the southern end of the island, and there were my room was as big as the barn that I grew up when I was little, and they said, well, and it was air conditioned. There was a section that was all closed off. It was air conditioned. They said, but when you go to the bathroom, be careful of the monkeys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean the monkeys could, it's kind of an open area. It was very beautiful.
Did
And-
they come in?
Well, not my room, but there was not my enclosure, but my friend was saying, well, maybe she should have had a room that overlooked the Indian Ocean, because she'd done a couple of trips. And I said, well, you know, so and so does have a room overlooking the Indian Ocean, but her hut was invaded by 4 monkeys last night. So maybe you dodged the bullet. Nothing bad happened. It was like they started to play ball with the toilet paper, and it was like they were just having fun. I didn't get into anybody's clothing or anything, but when the tide went out, you could just like walk forever. And you know, I didn't know. I just went. It was super, super hot and super muggy, because basically I was 6 degrees below the equator. That's where Zanzibar is.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to a butterfly zone. We went to a spice farm. We would go down the road, the papaya and the fruit. And
Was probably the best you've ever
Fabulous.
tasted, because I remember when I was in
Yes.
Italy and I took a bite out of a pear, I went, this is a pear? I never tasted a pear that tasted like that.
well, it was, some people, I'm glad you're interested, because some people it was like, you went on vacation? To me, a vacation is going on a cruise and never leaving the boat.
God.
And that is not, I think I went on the vacation to, it wasn't a vacation. It was a trip of a lifetime. I don't want to be going
It
out.
was your birthday.
It was my birthday. It was a significant birthday. I liked going with my friend. Not that we were tied at the hip or anything like that, but I trusted the company we traveled with. I liked all the people we worked with. I thought the guides gave a lot of themselves. We had a lot of experiences where we really went to the home of people. We met with a Muslim woman, and she said, well, I work at this resort, and it takes me 2 hours to get to work and 2 hours to get home, and I'm Muslim, and my husband told me last year that he took another wife, and Muslim men can have 4 wives. And somebody said, well, were you his first wife? And how did you feel about that? And she said, well, as long as he can afford it, because they have to pay for everything. So now he has 2 wives. So the first thing I did, I asked my superintendent, who's here in New York, I said, I know you're really busy, but is that because you've got another wife? You seem to be busy all the time. I hope it's not because you've got another wife. I don't know. It was interesting.
I can't thank you enough for this. It's just so fascinating to me. And what I love about this is there was a special birthday. And that's what happened to me when I went to the gorillas. It was my special birthday.
When you went to Rwanda, I remember you going to
Uganda.
Uganda.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I went on my special birthday because I wanted to do something that was like, as they say, on the bucket list. And I always wanted to do that. And you did the same thing. And I encourage everyone to think about that, because after you get to a certain time, now I do not believe that at my particular age at this moment would I be climbing a mountain with men with Uzis, because I think I would get very tired and I would start laughing. But it was, I just...
Well, as my friend said, there's go-go, there's go slow, and there's no go. And I'm still go-go.
It's wonderful. It's just one, but Deborah Jean has always been go-go, and I think that your energy is extraordinary, and I'm very happy for your energy. But
I do have to say one other thing. When we went to the school, I taught the children how to, we went to the school where they kissed our knees and we didn't, okay. And then I taught the children, when you say your name, you're all very important. So you can say, my name is Abraham, but take a little catch breath before you say your name, because so people can really hear you and assume that your grandma's in the back, that she might not be able to hear so well. And then I taught them mime, and I taught them how to brush their teeth, and I taught them how to blow up a balloon, and I had 45 kids all go,
oh,
well, they thought it was so much fun, and they were, and then I went, oh, the skills I learned in the 1970s are still bringing people joy in 2026. And then they asked all of us to sing, and I was kind of thinking they might ask us that. So I said, well, let's sing Getting to Know You. And then we all sang, all eight, and I thought, well, these are not musical theater people, but I think I started it low enough, and everybody knew the words to Getting to Know You.
Mm-hmm.
And then the children sang the Ethiopian national anthem.
Oh my
And it
God.
was very sweet. The
Oh.
group, the travel group, contributes money to that school, and I think now they have working toilets, another classroom. So there's a certain amount of the travel money that went there. They helped to contribute to that.
It's so wonderful, and that's the thing that we can do. Well, that's one thing we can do, instead of doing what every time I open my phone, somebody wants money for this political campaign, and I think I can understand they want to do grassroots things and everything else, but when you get to a country like Uganda or like Ethiopia, and you see the poverty, you say to yourself, I have to help. Now,
But you also see the story. You see the respect for elders. You see the they don't have a lot, but they're smiling.
And they're happy.
They're happy because they're in this village, and if they need some meat, somebody else, they're making dinner, and their neighbor will come over and say, "I've got something extra."
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to have to do that more. We just have to do it more. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
We have to say. Or we have to say, could I come over and borrow an egg? I mean, even at Jackie Gleason, they, you used to have television shows and people would come over. Do you have this? Knock on the door. Do you have this? Sometimes you have to be neighborly to each other. And that's the thing. When you saw Village Life, they were really cooperating.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important.
Well, thank you, my darling, for doing this, for the wonderful people that are going to watch your... This is a terrific, terrific, terrific thing for me, and I hope you all have the opportunity to share this with your friends and your family, because maybe somebody wants to go to Ethiopia.
That's true. And Ashu is a wonderful guide, and he's very proud of his country, and he should be. And
What is the company that you went through?
I went through Overseas Adventure Travel, and it's based in Boston, and it was founded by teachers.
That's great. So great. And that's why they got a wonderful person to do it. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we will talk in the future.